everybody. This is Pastor Scott, and this is my good friend Nick Anderson. We're going to do another podcast on prison ministry, talking about how prison ministry does work because God does move behind the bars and the walls. It's not just a place where these people get locked up and never be thought about again. But this is one of my good friends. You know, we did Rolos last week. We've done the girls on the jail ministry. And so me and Nick have been talking about doing this for a while. And he's about pestered me to death. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, this is Nick Anderson. We've known each other about 5 years. He's got a powerful testimony, and this tonight's just going to be the first of it. Wednesday night, next Wednesday night is going to be the culmination of the whole thing. So you'll have to come to church or watch it on live stream next Wednesday. But again, this is Nick Anderson, and Nick, you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Hey guys, I'm Nick. I'm a former inmate in the North Carolina Department of Corrections, and I come to know Scott about 5 years ago at Lincolnton. He's the chaplain there. Um, I don't know about powerful testimony, but like I would hope that with my life experience and how God really grabbed a hold of me, it may, help convince somebody that getting involved with the prison ministry is something they'd be interested in, or it may give hope to somebody who is struggling with some of the things that I struggled with in my past.
So, talk about how you came to come to Lincolnton and anything like that. Anything you want to share about your testimony?
I kind of want to keep some of my testimony short, but because I don't want to get it too involved in it for next Wednesday, but to kind of be brief, my history was drugs and alcohol. From a very young age, I got involved with drinking and just drugs. My home life was a little bit upside down when I was real young, and I went to live with my grandparents, and they just loved me to death. Like they just kind of let me probably get away with more than they should have because they thought that I had it hard too. And by the time I was 16 or 17, I was just running around with a crowd that was older than me and involved in things that at that time in life I found attractive. And it just led to a serious addiction with drugs and alcohol to the point to where I ended up homeless, didn't have a place to live.
We'll fast forward from there so you won't have to tell everybody.
Okay.
Because we'll save that for next week. Because that's going to be powerful. How'd you, when you got to prison, how'd you start turning your life back over to the Lord?
I think it happened before I got to prison. I knew I was raised up early in a church. I thank God every day for praying moms and praying families and people who just would not give up no matter how much it was to deal I was to deal with. Because I was a lot to deal with.
Still are.
Just sometimes. But how I ended up at Lincolnton, or how I ended up just really, I was sitting in the county jail and I just knew that I knew I was going to prison. There was no way around it. But I was just so sick and tired of hurting other people and being burdened with the guilt of the things that I'd done and the shame of who I was. And I knew from my earlier years growing up in church that Jesus would be the answer for my problems. Yeah. And I can remember praying in that county jail, and I didn't know really what I was asking for then, and I don't know if the change occurred or began to occur then, but later on, which I'll get to later, I really did have that personal encounter with Jesus that I believe everybody needs. And when that happens, there's no changing it. Like when he came into my heart and where I was at that point in time, I can tell you exactly where I was. It was on May the 31st of 2020. I was sitting in a segregation unit. I had gotten to a little bit of trouble, and I just knew like I needed him right then, and I prayed and I opened my Bible to a Bible verse that I became familiar with through going to church, Jeremiah 29:11. Mm-hmm. And man, it's like his spirit just filled that room.
Awesome.
And I knew then that he loved me and that there was absolutely nothing that I could do more than I had already been doing for him to turn my life around. For a long time, I thought that there was a lot of things that I had to do.
Yeah.
But the truth is there's nothing that I can do. I have to leave it up to him.
Yeah.
Later on in my prison sentence, well, before that even, I met you at Lincolnton. And I had left Lincolnton to pursue a job, to go to work release, which a lot of inmates do in prison. I'd gotten an opportunity to work for someone in the, I guess, what would it be called? The personal business.
You
We're
mean
gonna have to
work
cut
for a
that.
friend?
Well,
There
it
you
wasn't
go.
work for a friend. It was more like, an employer, a private employer,
There you go.
where I made real money, not just, $1 a day or some of the incentives the prison gives you.
They pay good, don't they?
Yeah, $1 a day.
Yeah.
Now that's top dollar. Some
Yeah.
jobs are 40 cents. You gotta work your way up.
Yeah.
But that's when I got in trouble. And this past time when I came back to Lincoln, you were still there, and God had done made a change in my life. And I had gotten serious about the Lord, praying, reading my Bible. Every time the doors were open in church, I was there.
8 services a week.
8 services a week. I was in every one of them. And God just really started to work on me and deal with me and take some things from me that I had been struggling with throughout the years. Profanity, just little things, how I treated other people. He just turned me inside out, and still today he's still peeling layers of Nick away and turning me into his servant.
Man. So with all the services, tell everybody what it meant for the volunteers to come in.
The volunteers is the life of the minute of any type of Christian, any type of interaction with Christ, or any type of learning about Christ, or any type of love that you like. Volunteers is the rock behind prison ministry.
Amen.
They're the life source of it. There's some that I know go into prison and they wonder sometimes, man, is this ever working for anybody? It does work. And I think a lot of volunteers do it because there's always that one or just that handful of people that get it. And to me personally, in my future, when I'm able to get involved with some type of ministry, whether it be prison ministry or whether it be ministry involving treatment centers or wherever I go, I already know that, maybe I can't reach everybody, but there's going to be that one person that I can make a difference in their life. And the volunteers truly made a difference in my life. You more so than others because I seen you a lot more. We became good friends there. I looked up to you. I knew some of your story personally from you growing up, and so I could,
I was a kid, wasn't I?
Oh, I'm ashamed to say that you're my mentor.
Oh Lord, bless your heart. We praying for you, Nick.
Yeah, the volunteers though, they spend countless hours going in there, and I love them and I admire them and I appreciate them, and I'm so thankful because there were times when, there's things that you deal with inside of a place like that you need somebody. And there's always a face, somebody to go talk to, and you can see that they have that empathy and that compassion and a heart, and they believe that, God can fix it and he can turn things around.
Well, a lot of our volunteers we're blessed to have that have been in prison. That, not just Lincoln. Someone's been in Lincoln, but someone's been in Georgia. Jamie was in Georgia and places like that, Florida. And they come in and they know what you're going through. It's not that a volunteer that had never been to prison cannot love on you. That's not the case, because we see that through Rob and a lot of them, Joe Hendricks and all them that's never been in prison. They just had a love of Jesus. But when you have some of the volunteers that come in that have been in prison, that know what you're talking about, can talk your talk because it's prison talk, and they know how to reach those hard cases. Holy Spirit does it, but he uses them. That's the same way it'll be with you when you go back in. They'll know you've been there, and so you can speak to that a little bit.
Those are a lot of the guys that really stand out. Jamie Torres and Robert Rollo, and Ernest Black.
I love him.
Ernest, but Eric Duran.
Yep. Big E.
You know, those guys I admire. You know, they've got out and they've walked the walk, and they're still continuing to do that, and it shows, and it allows the volunteers that spend their time going in there to hold their head up and say, you see, this does make a difference,
Yeah.
because whether it's, you know, whether you like it or not, there are going to be people that are doubters that that say things that try even to discourage volunteers from going in there.
Yeah.
But I'm so thankful that they did. You know, I was a life that was changed. God did it, but He used a lot of those people to show me that no matter what you go through, that He's there and He will see you through it, no matter how bad it gets. There's been issues that I've ran into since I've been home. You know, whether it be financial issues or relationship issues. There's family members that I still haven't got to talk to since I've been home. And, you know, I don't know whether I'll ever be able to mend those relationships or not. But I know that, you know, serving Him is what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do that in any way I can.
Amen. So you're in prison. Tommy's going to be your sponsor. What are you thinking about the first Sunday that you're going to get to come to our church?
Oh man, I'm so nervous. I don't do good around. I didn't do good around crowds. Like, I was just so nervous. I done heard rumors about, okay, I'm coming to New Vision. Tommy's taking me. Who's this Tommy guy? I find out he's the worship leader, and you know, I've already heard these rumors about how Pastor Scott makes people sit on the front row when they come to the prison. So I feel like I'm going to be up there and just like a big shiny sore thumb sticking out. But I had a great time. You know, as soon as I came to this church, from the moment I walked in the door the very first day, there was somebody out there that made me feel loved, appreciated, and like I was no different than anybody else sitting in these seats.
Because you what?
And yeah, come to find out, I'm really not. You know, I'm just someone God came and visited with and changed their life, just like everybody in here. A lot of people I've gotten to know personally that goes to New Vision, and they've got a history. You know, but God's using them to do good things.
How did it help you, like when you got to go out to eat, you got to be with the families? Because we take the guys out to eat after church. We got 5 sponsors right now that take 5 guys out. But they get to see the good, bad, and ugly. That's what I tell everybody. They get
Well,
to
I was ugly. I'm telling you. My teeth was messed up. I was in bad shape when I first came out here. And the eating, I love going to eat. Now, we went to, I think we went to Untouchables over in Denver my first time, eat pizza. And man, I just remember being so nervous, being able to come out and just be around people again. You know, that had been the first time that I'd been outside prison in, I guess, 3 years. You know, every day had been inside. I hadn't had any outside contact with the society. Yeah. And then they load me up on the van and bring me to church. I was excited, nervous, scared. But I had a great time, and immediately I knew I'd found a home. Like, I knew. I think from that moment, I began to try to plan on how I could stay in this area when I got home.
That's good, because you got some support.
I did have some support down here. You know, that's a good thing. One thing that was a big deciding factor on whether I wanted to leave the facility that I was at and go for another opportunity work release or not was the church and how influential the volunteers were on my life. I knew, like, this wasn't the first time that I had been in prison by any means. I had been in and out of prison several times, and I knew that there was something different inside of me, and I didn't get it from having a job. I didn't get it from having money or somewhere to go. I got it from Him and from the people that come in and fed me that word, and I wanted that, and I couldn't get it anywhere else in the state. Like, I don't know of any prison besides Lincoln Correction that has that many services a week.
We got a lot of Jesus in
and I wanted that. I needed that, and I think that's what saved my life.
So you told Anita and I just a little while ago, which I already knew it, but I kind of forgot it. that you had opportunity, and you just said it, but I want to make it clear. You had opportunity
Mm-hmm.
to leave our prison
I did.
and go get a job and make money and have money when you got out. But because you felt like that you needed the time with Jesus and the services and the volunteers and everything more, you chose to opt out of that.
Absolutely, no doubt. I had to have him. Like, I had to have him in the center of my life, and still that's what it is today. Even when I got out, like, I was fortunate enough to be put into a situation with actually somebody, one of my fellow church members, where I had a great job, made great money, but the one thing that I couldn't do was I couldn't attend church and be around the people that I needed to be around like I needed to. So I had to step away from that. God's blessed me with another great job. So many blessings. Like, I came home with absolutely nothing. But I just gained so much more through him.
I was ragging him because he pulls up this big old nice Ford F-150, and I told him when I grow up I want to get a truck like that. But
don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
But I want you to know that I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I mean that, you know that, but I'm proud of you. I love you. I'm so ready for next Wednesday. Yeah, you want to just briefly talk about that a second?
I'm excited about next Wednesday. Man, Deanna is going to have a fit, but
well, if you ain't supposed to say it,
I can't say it. I can't.
We ain't gonna say nothing. Then we just gonna have fun.
If you want to have fun next Wednesday, come out to New Vision, 7:00. We'll be here. It's going to be an exciting night for me, a big night for me, and I really hope that if there's somebody that wants to hear my testimony and what God really did in my life on a deeper measure, they can come out Wednesday night and listen. I appreciate y'all having me in here.
One last thing I was thinking about. If you know somebody's watching right now or is going to be watching, and they have a loved one in prison that's not serving the Lord right now, what would you tell them they need to do?
Pray for them. Pray for them. Every moment that you can spend with that loved one, whether it's through a visit, through a letter, through a phone call, just let them know that you love them and that God can fix it, and continue to pray for them. One thing that I do know from my personal experience, when I came home, it was very uncomfortable. This was new for me. A whole world of responsibilities that I didn't have when I was sitting in prison. The one good thing that I did have was a great network of people. A lot of the volunteers I still communicate with on a regular basis. And that helps keep me accountable. This is like learning to live a whole new life for me. I'm so thankful that God's at the center of it, but I need that accountability in my life. But if there's someone out there that's got a loved one in prison and they want them to turn their life over to Christ, just continue to pray for them, continue to support them, continue to love them.
So this is what we want you to do. We've proven that this works. This is why we do what we do. Is people like Nick, Rolo, and all these other ones. I was sharing with Nick a little while ago, a guy named Lenny that was in the prison. He's been out 3 months. He sends me a message today. I talked to him, and he's doing awesome. And he wanted me to tell everybody, thank you for everything they did, the volunteers that came in. And so it's working. But this is what I want you to do. I want you to pray for this ministry. Pray for Lincoln County Prison Ministry. The Lincoln County Jail Ministry up at Sheriff Beam has been so awesome to let us come in. We're going to get him in here and do a podcast soon. But he's been so awesome to let us come in. But like and share this. Share it, like it. What else do they need to do? Subscribe to it. Whatever else you can do. Comment on it. The more you do that, it's not promoting us, but it's promoting the testimony of what God is doing. And the more you share it and like it, the more it goes on this thing. And they just try to tell me about it. I don't even understand it. But the more you share it, the more you like it, the more you comment, the more it gets seen. And we just want the word to get out because we want you to know that behind prison bars, God is changing lives. I mean, we can sit here and tell you testimony after testimony after testimony of guys in the prison And I told them you was sharing today, and they're like, "Oh man!" So these guys remember Nick, they remember Rolo, they remember the guys that's been in. I'm going to tell them about Lenny as soon as I go back Friday. They remember these guys, and they say, "Hey, if they can make it when they get out, I can make it." So like, share. I had one of the guys tell me today that his mom got to watch the podcast, and so it's just powerful what's going on. So just share it and like it and subscribe or whatever you got to do, and get the word out, because we know that God is moving by His Spirit behind the prison bars and also at the jails. Okay, so we love you guys. Nick,
God bless you. Love you. Thank you for
Love
having
you.
me, Scott.
All right, and we love you guys, and we'll see you soon. God bless.